Welcome to Native Bloodline, a channel dedicated to the true stories, forgotten histories, and living legacies of Indigenous nations. Here, we go beyond textbooks to uncover the voices, struggles, and strength of Native American tribes who shaped this land long before it was called America. In today's story, we explore the Navajo Nation, the largest Native American tribe in the United States, a people defined by resilience, tradition, and an unbreakable connection to their homeland. This is not just history, this is survival, this is identity, this is Native Bloodline. Navajo people, who call themselves the Diné, have a history that reaches far back into time, long before written records or European contact with North America. According to Diné oral traditions, their origins are not simply a matter of migration or settlement, but a sacred journey shaped by spiritual laws and the natural world. The Navajo believe they emerged into the present world through a series of previous worlds, guided by holy people who taught them how to live in balance. This belief system is not just a story of beginnings, it forms the foundation of Navajo identity, explaining their relationship with the land, the sky, animals, and one another. From the very start, the Navajo worldview emphasized harmony, respect, and responsibility, values that would shape their survival for centuries. Historically, scholars trace the ancestors of the Navajo to Athabascan-speaking peoples who migrated south from the subarctic regions of present-day Canada thousands of years ago. Over generations, these groups moved into the American Southwest, gradually adapting to a very different environment of deserts, mesas, and canyons. Rather than remaining isolated, the Navajo interacted with neighboring tribes such as the Pueblo peoples, learning farming techniques, pottery styles, and new social practices. This blending of cultures helped the Navajo develop a flexible and resilient way of life. They became skilled farmers, herders, and traders, able to survive in harsh landscapes where resources were often scarce. Central to Navajo origins is the land itself, especially the four sacred mountains, which mark the traditional boundaries of the Navajo homeland. These mountains are not just geographic landmarks, they are living symbols of protection, balance, and spiritual order. Each mountain is associated with specific colors, directions, and spiritual meanings that guide Navajo ceremonies and daily life. Living within these boundaries meant more than occupying space. It meant living within a sacred system where every action affected the balance of the world. This deep connection to place would later become one of the strongest forces driving Navajo resistance to displacement and loss. As the Navajo settled across the Southwest, they developed a semi-nomadic lifestyle that allowed them to adapt to seasonal changes. Early Navajo communities lived in small family groups, moving as needed to find water, fertile land, and grazing areas. The introduction of sheep and horses by Spanish settlers in the 1500s dramatically transformed Navajo society. Sheep herding became central to the Navajo economy and culture, providing food, clothing, and a form of wealth. Over time, sheep became so important that they were woven into Navajo spiritual beliefs and ceremonies. This adaptation shows how the Navajo were not static, but capable of reshaping their society while still maintaining core traditions. Navajo social structure also took shape during these early centuries. The clan system became the backbone of Navajo society, defining identity, marriage rules, and social responsibilities. Every Navajo person belongs to a clan through their mother, creating a strong matrilineal system that gave women significant roles in family and community life. This structure helped maintain unity and order, especially as Navajo populations grew and spread across a wide region. Even today, clan identity remains a vital part of how Navajo people introduce themselves and understand their place in the world. Language played a crucial role in preserving Navajo origins and history. The Navajo language carried stories, teachings, and spiritual knowledge across generations. Oral storytelling was the primary way history was recorded, ensuring that lessons from the past remained alive and relevant. Through songs, chants, and ceremonies, the Navajo passed down knowledge about creation, morality, and survival. This strong oral tradition helped the Navajo maintain their identity even when later faced with outside pressure to assimilate or abandon their culture. Long before the United States existed, The Navajo had already established themselves as a powerful and adaptable people of the Southwest. They defended their territory, formed alliances when necessary, and learned how to survive in one of the most challenging environments in North America. Their early history is a story of movement, adaptation, and spiritual grounding rather than conquest or domination. Unlike many narratives written by outsiders, the Navajo story begins not with conflict, but with balance, a belief that life must be lived in harmony with the earth and the universe. Understanding the origins of the Navajo Nation is essential to understanding everything that followed. Their deep spiritual beliefs, strong family systems, and connection to the land prepared them for centuries of challenges ahead. When later confronted with colonization, forced removal, and cultural suppression, the Navajo did not simply endure by chance. They survived because their origins had already taught them resilience, adaptability, and unity. The story of America's largest tribe does not begin with tragedy or loss. It begins with creation, movement, and a powerful sense of purpose that continues to define the Navajo Nation today. Navajo culture is built upon a deep sense of balance, responsibility, and connection that guides everyday life as well as spiritual practice. At the heart of this worldview is the concept of hojo, a principle that represents harmony, beauty, and order in the universe. For the Navajo, living well means striving to maintain hojo in thoughts, actions, relationships, and interactions with nature. This philosophy influences how families are raised, how conflicts are resolved, and how ceremonies are performed. Culture is not separated from daily life. It is lived continuously through respect for elders, care for the land, and adherence to traditional values passed down through generations. Family and clan relationships form the foundation of Navajo society. The Navajo follow a matrilineal system, meaning identity and clan membership are inherited through the mother. This system gives women a central role in family life, property ownership, and social stability. Children grow up knowing not only their immediate family, but also their extended clan connections, which define how individuals relate to one another within the community. Clan relationships determine marriage rules, ensuring balance and respect between families, and they create a strong sense of belonging that stretches across the vast Navajo Nation. These connections provide social support, guidance, and accountability. Reinforcing unity among the people. Traditional Navajo homes, known as hogans, reflect cultural values and spiritual beliefs. Built from natural materials such as wood, earth, and stone, hogans are designed to blend with the surrounding environment. The doorway traditionally faces east, welcoming the rising sun and symbolizing new beginnings and positive energy. The hogan is more than a shelter. It is a sacred space where families gather, ceremonies take place, and stories are shared. Living in harmony with nature is expressed through the hogan's design, reinforcing the belief that humans are part of the natural world rather than separate from it. Art and craftsmanship are central expressions of Navajo culture, carrying both practical and spiritual significance. Navajo weaving is world-renowned for its beauty, complexity, and symbolism. Originally created for warmth and daily use, woven blankets and rugs evolved into intricate works of art that tell stories through patterns and colors. Weaving is traditionally passed down from mothers to daughters, strengthening cultural continuity and personal identity. Navajo silversmithing, introduced in the 19th century, became another powerful form of artistic expression. Jewelry crafted from silver and turquoise reflects cultural pride, spiritual beliefs, and economic independence, and it remains an important symbol of Navajo identity today. Ceremony and spirituality play a vital role in maintaining balance and health within the community. Navajo ceremonies are complex and deeply meaningful, often lasting several days and involving songs, chants, prayers, and sand paintings. These ceremonies are performed to restore harmony when it is believed to be disrupted by illness, emotional distress, or imbalance in the natural order. Medicine men and women, known for their spiritual knowledge and training, guide these rituals with great care and responsibility. Ceremonies are not viewed as superstition but as essential practices that connect individuals to the spiritual forces governing the universe. The Navajo language is one of the strongest pillars of cultural survival. It carries meanings, expressions, and concepts that cannot be fully translated into English. Through language, Navajo values, humor, and worldview are preserved. Elders play a crucial role in teaching the language to younger generations through conversation, storytelling, and ceremony. Despite historical attempts to suppress native languages through boarding schools and government policies, the Navajo language has endured. Its continued use today stands as a powerful act of cultural resistance and pride. Music, storytelling, and oral tradition remain essential ways Navajo culture is passed from one generation to the next. Stories teach moral lessons, historical memory, and spiritual knowledge, often using animals, heroes, and natural forces as symbols. These stories are not merely entertainment, they are educational tools that guide behavior, and reinforce values. Elders are respected as keepers of knowledge, and listening to their stories is considered a vital responsibility for younger members of the community. Through oral tradition, Navajo history and identity remain alive even in the absence of written records. While deeply rooted in tradition, Navajo culture has also shown a remarkable ability to adapt to modern life. Today, many Navajo people balance traditional practices with contemporary careers, education, and technology. Modern Navajo artists, writers, and leaders continue to draw inspiration from cultural values while expressing them in new ways. This blending of tradition and modernity reflects the strength of Navajo culture, proving that it is not frozen in the past but continues to evolve while remaining true to its core principles. The richness of Navajo culture lies in its continuity and resilience. Despite centuries of external pressure, displacement, and cultural suppression, Navajo traditions have survived and in many ways grown stronger. Culture is not preserved through isolation but through practice, teaching, and pride. The Navajo way of life remains a living system, guiding individuals and communities through both ancient traditions and modern challenges. This enduring cultural strength helps explain how the Navajo Nation continues to thrive today as the largest Native American tribe in the United States, grounded in values that have stood the test of time. The 19th century brought profound upheaval to the Navajo people, marking one of the most painful and defining chapters in their history. As the United States expanded westward, Navajo lands became a target for military control, settlement, and resource exploitation. Long before direct U.S. involvement, the Navajo had already faced conflict with Spanish and later Mexican forces, often through raids, forced labor, and shifting alliances. These repeated encounters hardened Navajo resistance and reinforced their determination to protect their homeland. However, the arrival of the U.S. military introduced a new level of force and organization that would drastically alter the future of the Diné people. By the mid-1800s, U.S. officials viewed the Navajo as an obstacle to American expansion in the Southwest. Raids and counter-raids between Navajo communities, settlers, and neighboring tribes were often used as justification for military action. In 1863, the U.S. government launched a full-scale campaign led by Kit Carson aimed at breaking Navajo resistance. Rather than fighting only warriors, the military adopted a scorched earth strategy that targeted the very foundation of Navajo life. Crops were burned, orchards destroyed, sheep and horses killed, and water sources contaminated. This systematic destruction left Navajo families facing starvation and despair, forcing many to surrender not because they were defeated in battle but because survival had become impossible. Those who surrendered were forced into one of the most tragic events in Navajo history, later known as the Long Walk. Thousands of Navajo men, women, children, and elders were marched hundreds of miles from their homeland to a remote internment camp at Bosque Redondo in eastern New Mexico. The journey was brutal and unforgiving. Many were poorly clothed, malnourished, and forced to walk in harsh weather conditions. Those who fell behind were often beaten or killed. Disease, hunger, and exhaustion claimed countless lives along the way, leaving deep scars that remain etched in Navajo collective memory. Bosque Redondo proved to be a place of suffering rather than refuge. The land was unfamiliar and unsuitable for traditional Navajo farming and herding. Water quality was poor, crops failed, and food rations were insufficient. Overcrowding led to the rapid spread of disease, and dependency on government supplies eroded the Navajo sense of self-sufficiency. Cultural practices were restricted, and spiritual life was disrupted. For a people whose identity was rooted in harmony with their land, confinement in an alien environment caused immense physical and emotional pain. Yet even in these conditions, the Navajo did not abandon who they were. They continued to speak their language, share stories, and hold on to their spiritual beliefs as acts of quiet resistance. The failure of Bosque Redondo became increasingly clear to U.S. officials as well. Reports documented the high death rates, rising costs, and widespread dissatisfaction. More importantly, Navajo leaders used diplomacy and resilience to make their voices heard. In 1868, after years of suffering, negotiations resulted in a treaty that allowed the Navajo to return to a portion of their ancestral homeland. Unlike many other tribes who were permanently removed, the Navajo were granted the right to go home. Though the land they returned to was smaller and damaged, the return itself became a powerful symbol of survival and determination. The journey back was not simply a physical return, it was a spiritual restoration. Rebuilding Navajo life after the long walk required immense strength. Families reunited, herds were slowly rebuilt, and communities re-established their connection to the land. The trauma of displacement remained, passed down through stories and oral history, serving as a reminder of loss but also of endurance. The long walk became a defining moment in Navajo identity, shaping how future generations understood injustice, resilience, and the importance of unity. This period of conflict fundamentally changed the Navajo relationship with the United States, but it did not erase Navajo sovereignty or culture. Instead, it reinforced the Navajo commitment to survival through adaptation rather than surrender. The memory of the long walk continues to influence Navajo political activism, cultural preservation, and demands for recognition and respect. It stands as a reminder that the Navajo Nation exists today not because IT was spared from hardship, but because it endured one of the harshest chapters in Native American history and emerged with its identity intact. The story of conflict and survival is not only about suffering, it is also about strength. The Navajo people faced military force, displacement, and cultural suppression, yet they refused to disappear. Their survival was rooted in community bonds, spiritual beliefs, and an unbreakable connection to their homeland. This chapter explains why the Navajo Nation approaches the present with a deep awareness of the past. The long walk is remembered not to dwell on pain, but to honor those who endured it and to ensure that the lessons of resilience, unity, and resistance are never forgotten. In the modern era, the Navajo Nation stands as a unique political, cultural, and social entity within the United States. Spanning more than 27,000 square miles across Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah, it is the largest Native American reservation in the country, both in land area and population. The scale of the Navajo Nation alone sets it apart, but what truly defines it is its ability to operate as a self-governing nation while remaining deeply rooted in tradition. Today, the Navajo Nation manages its own government, judicial system, and institutions, demonstrating a complex balance between sovereignty and cooperation with federal and state authorities. The Navajo Nation government is structured with executive, legislative, and judicial branches mirror aspects of the U.S. system while maintaining distinct Navajo values. Leaders are elected by Navajo citizens, and decision-making often reflects both modern governance and traditional principles. Community involvement remains strong, with local chapters serving as the backbone of grassroots participation. These chapters allow residents to voice concerns, manage local projects, and preserve cultural practices at the community level. This system ensures that governance is not distant or abstract, but directly connected to the daily lives of Navajo people. Despite its strength, the Navajo Nation faces significant challenges in areas such as infrastructure, healthcare, education, and economic development. Many communities are located in remote areas where access to clean water, electricity, and paved roads remains limited. Healthcare facilities are often underfunded and understaffed, making it difficult to meet the needs of a growing population. Educational systems struggle with limited resources, high dropout rates, and the challenge of balancing standardized curricula with cultural preservation. These issues are not the result of a lack of effort, but rather the legacy of historical marginalization and ongoing structural inequalities. Economic development remains one of the most pressing concerns for the Navajo Nation today. Unemployment rates are higher than the national average, and many families rely on a combination of traditional livelihoods and modern employment. Natu. Raw resources such as coal, oil, and uranium have played a major role in the Navajo economy, but they have also brought environmental damage and health risks. In recent years, the Navajo Nation has increasingly focused on sustainable development, including renewable energy projects, small businesses, and tourism. These efforts aim to create economic opportunities while protecting the land that holds deep cultural and spiritual significance. Cultural preservation continues to be a central priority in modern Navajo life. Language revitalization programs, cultural education in schools, and community ceremonies help ensure that traditions remain alive for future generations. Elders play a critical role in passing down knowledge, while younger Navajo leaders work to adapt cultural teachings to contemporary realities. Art, music, and storytelling remain powerful tools for cultural expression, allowing the Navajo to share their identity with the wider world while strengthening pride within their own communities. Modern technology has also become an important part of life within the Navajo Nation. Social media, digital storytelling, and online education platforms are increasingly used to connect communities, share information, and advocate for Navajo issues on a global scale. Young Navajo activists and creators use these tools to raise awareness about water rights, environmental justice, and cultural preservation. This digital presence challenges outdated stereotypes and presents a more accurate and dynamic picture of Navajo life today. The COVID-19 pandemic highlighted both the vulnerabilities and the resilience of the Navajo Nation. The community was hit hard due to limited healthcare infrastructure and underlying health conditions, but it also demonstrated remarkable strength and unity. Traditional practices of community care combined with modern public health measures helped slow the spread of the virus. Mutual aid, leadership coordination, and cultural values of responsibility to one another played a crucial role in recovery. This experience reinforced the importance of self-governance and community solidarity in times of crisis. Today, the Navajo Nation continues to move forward, navigating the challenges of the modern world while remaining grounded in ancient values. Progress is measured not only in economic growth or infrastructure development, but in the preservation of identity, language, and connection to the land. The Navajo Nation is not simply surviving, it is actively shaping its future on its own terms. This balance between tradition and modernity defines the Navajo Nation today and sets the foundation for the generations that will follow, ensuring that the story of America's largest tribe continues to evolve with strength, dignity, and purpose. The legacy of the Navajo Nation extends far beyond the borders of its reservation, shaping American history, culture, and identity in ways that are often overlooked but deeply significant. One of the most powerful examples of this influence came during World War II, when Navajo code talkers used their native language to create an unbreakable military code. At a time when enemy forces were intercepting and decoding U.S. communications, the Navajo language proved impossible to decipher. Navajo men served with honor and courage, transmitting complex messages under intense combat conditions. Their contribution played a critical role in key battles in the Pacific, saving countless lives and helping secure Allied victory. For decades, their service remained classified, but today the Code Talkers are recognized as national heroes, symbolizing both Navajo patriotism and the unique value of indigenous knowledge. Beyond military service, Navajo philosophy has quietly influenced American ideas about environmental stewardship and sustainable living. The Navajo belief in living in harmony with the land offers an alternative to resource exploitation and short-term thinking. As environmental challenges such as climate change and land degradation become more urgent, Navajo perspectives on balance, responsibility, and respect for nature are increasingly relevant. These teachings emphasize that the land is not a commodity, but a living system that sustains all life. This worldview has inspired environmental activists, scholars, and policymakers to reconsider how development and progress are defined. Navajo art and craftsmanship have also left a lasting mark on American culture. Navajo weaving, jewelry, and visual art are celebrated worldwide for their beauty and symbolism. These art forms are not simply decorative, they carry stories, history, and spiritual meaning. Navajo designs have influenced fashion, interior design, and contemporary art, often serving as a bridge between indigenous tradition and modern expression. While issues of cultural appropriation remain a concern, many Navajo artists today actively assert ownership of their cultural symbols, using their work to educate the public and support economic independence within their communities. The Navajo Nation has also played a key role in shaping conversations about Native American rights and sovereignty in the United States. Through legal battles, political advocacy, and grassroots movements, Navajo leaders have challenged policies that threaten tribal lands, water rights, and self-determination. These efforts have contributed to broader reforms in federal Indian policy, helping establish precedents that benefit many tribes across the country. The Navajo experience demonstrates that sovereignty is not merely a legal concept, but a lived reality that requires constant defense and adaptation. Education and storytelling are another important part of the Navajo legacy. Navajo scholars, writers, and filmmakers have worked to correct historical narratives that misrepresented Native peoples. By telling their own story, in their own voices, they challenge stereotypes and ensure that future generations understand the true complexity of Navajo history and identity. Navajo history is increasingly being incorporated into academic research, museums, and educational curricula, creating a more inclusive and accurate understanding of American history as a whole. The resilience of the Navajo people serves as a powerful example for marginalized communities everywhere. Despite centuries of displacement, forced assimilation, and economic hardship, the Navajo Nation has not only survived but maintained its cultural integrity. This resilience is rooted in strong family bonds, spiritual beliefs, and a deep connection to the land. The Navajo story challenges the idea that progress requires abandoning tradition. Instead, it shows that strength can come from honoring the past while engaging with the present. Today, the Navajo Nation continues to influence America through leadership, creativity, and advocacy. Navajo voices are present in politics, academia, environmental movements, and the arts. Younger generations are building on the legacy of their ancestors, blending traditional values with modern skills to address contemporary challenges. Whether through renewable energy initiatives, language revitalization programs, or digital activism, the Navajo Nation remains a source of innovation and inspiration. The story of the Navajo Nation is not only a tribal story, it is an American story. It reveals the complexities of justice, identity, and survival within the broader national narrative. The Navajo people have contributed to the nation's defense, enriched its culture, and challenged it to live up to its ideals. Their legacy reminds us that America's strength lies in its diversity and that the voices of indigenous peoples are essential to understanding the country's past, present, and future. As the largest Native American tribe in the United States, the Navajo Nation stands as a testament to endurance, influence, and the power of a people who refuse to be forgotten. The story of the Navajo Nation is not a story of the past. It is a story that continues today. From sacred origins to modern self-governance, from the pain of the long walk to the power of cultural survival, the Navajo people have shown the world what it means to endure without losing identity. Their legacy lives on through language, land, and generations who carry their history forward with pride. As America continues to reckon with its past, the Navajo Nation stands as a reminder that true strength comes from honoring where you come from. If stories like this matter to you, support Indigenous voices by subscribing to Native Bloodline. Like this video, share it, and help keep these stories alive for future generations. Every story told is a step toward truth, respect, and remembrance. Until next time, stay connected to the roots of history. This is Native Bloodline.